Donald Trump has been mocking Elizabeth Warren after she claimed that part of her family heritage includes Native American ancestry. And so he calls her Pocahontas over and over again. And during one rally in Montana in July, Trump even offered her some money to take a DNA test to prove that she has Native American heritage. Take a look.
When she proclaims that she's of Indian heritage, because her mother said she has high cheekbones. That's her only evidence, that her mother said she had high cheekbones. We will take that little kit and say, but we have to do it gently. Because we're in the Me Too generation, so we have to be very gentle. And we will very gently take that kit and we will slowly toss it, hoping it doesn't hit her and injure her arm. Even though it only weighs probably 2 ounces. And we will say, I will give you $1 million to your favorite charity, paid for by Trump, if you take the test and it shows you're an Indian, you know.
Well, Elizabeth Warren has taken a DNA test. She released the results in a YouTube video, and we're gonna show you a few portions of it in just a second. But just to give you some background information on it, the test conducted by Stanford University professor Carlos Bustamante, a genetics and genomics expert, concludes that there is strong evidence that Warren's DNA sample of primarily European descent also contains Native American ancestry from an ancestor in the sample's pedigree 6 to 10 generations ago. All right. So, by the way, Bustamante concludes with 99% confidence that Warren's DNA sample contains 5 genetic segments spanning 12.3 million DNA bases, which are Native American in origin.
And he said in the original quote that it was strong evidence. So Donald Trump should appreciate that. It's got strong in it.
Well, I want to show you a few snippets from her video, and then the response from Trump and his cronies is hilarious. So let's take a quick look at what Elizabeth Warren's video contained.
Hi, I'm Carlos Bustamante, and I've advised companies in the direct-to-consumer space, including Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and Helix. In the senator's genome, we did find 5 segments of Native American ancestry with very high confidence, where we believe the error rate is less than 1 in 1,000.
Now, the president likes to call my mom a liar. What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you
absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
Okay.
We come from Oklahoma. When we were born, they said these are the parents, these are your grandparents, these are your aunts and uncles. Their word was always their bond. They were honest.
That's right. Well, that's what Betsy's been saying.
I'm not enrolled in a tribe, and only tribes determine tribal citizenship. I understand and respect that distinction, but my family history is my family history.
So that should do it. That's definitive. Donald Trump owes a charity of her choice $1 million. You want to guess whether he's going to pay it? Well, his view of a charity is a sham. It's a scam that you run to enrich yourself. So not very likely. But she stone cold busted him. Those are her brothers in that living room that you saw in that portion of the tape. And at least 2 of them in the video said we're Republicans. And so that's normal in a family, the Republicans and Democrats. They're like, yeah, but our mom told us the same story about how we were Native American. And it turns out they were Native American, right? Now, of course, it's not gonna appease the Republicans because they're like, well, we don't wanna pass up a good opportunity to be racist. And they like calling her Pocahontas. So now, how is that not offensive? I'm just trying to figure that out. If she's not Native American, does that make the racial taunt better? If she is Native American, does it make it better or worse? So none of the things that Donald Trump has ever said on this issue has ever made any sense, or any of the Republicans, even before Donald Trump. And it was obvious from day one, but I'm glad she took the DNA test. 1, to just end it for good. Number 2, so that we're clear that Donald Trump owes her $1 million, no ands, ifs, or buts. I'll get into contractual issues in a second and why it's a valid contract. But let me show you a video that I did back in 2012. This was pre-Trump. Trump, of course, has always made it worse. But Scott Brown had started this against her when they were running for Senate against each other in Massachusetts. And at the time, the Republican voters and supporters of Scott Brown had started doing tomahawk chops around her, okay? So, and now mind you, this is pre-DNA test. This issue never made any sense. This is what I said back in 2012.
They had to really stretch, and they came out with Elizabeth Warren once checked off that she was part Native American on a form. We've got a form. We've got a form. And look at her. She's white. Of course, she's not Native American, except that her mother is partly Native American. She came. Apparently, she's part Cherokee and part Delaware Indian. So she didn't make it up. It's actually totally true. So what do you have on her? I don't get it. And she filled this stuff out after she had her job. It wasn't like, oh, I'm Cherokee and please give me the job. So this is the dumbest, silliest controversy I have seen in a long time.
But nevertheless, it persisted. Okay, and this really, I mean, all the way back then, one of the dumbest talking points ever. First of all, how would you know that she's not Native American by just looking at her? What a preposterous claim. Anybody could be 1/16th anything and you would never know. So how could they have been positive that she wasn't Native American? The starting point was stupid, and it only got worse from there. Number two, and the most important part of this whole thing, she never ever claimed in any job application that she was a minority and that she should be in a minority category to use affirmative action. No one ever made that claim. In the video, she had all the people who had hired her at different jobs, and they all said, no, we didn't hire her as a minority. She never checked that off. And we hired her because she was one of the top law professors in the country. And everybody knew that. And so if she didn't use it to her advantage, even if it were not true, and it is, now it's definitive, what difference would it have made, right? So for example, in our family lore, no one's really sure, but they think that I might be 1/8 Kurdish. I don't know if that's true or not. Have I ever checked off on an application, I'm Kurdish and I should get some sort of benefit for that? No, it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't work here anyway. In Turkey, maybe it might work, but I wouldn't do that. And I didn't do that. So it is irrelevant. It is irrelevant from the get-go. So why did the Republicans focus on this so much all the way through Trump? For two reasons. One, they really have nothing on her. They never had anything on her back then. They don't have anything on her today. The fact is, she does fight for the American people. She helps set up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that returned billions of dollars to the American taxpayers that they had been defrauded from the banks. That's why the Republicans hate her and why they can't find a good way to attack her, because when they say, oh my God, she took money that the banks cheated from you and gave it back to you. Whoa, that didn't work. No, let's call her something else, right? And so she's populist in all those ways, and so it opens up no lines of attack. Then now, and the second reason why they use this line of attack was it's racist. So they're like, oh great, we'll call her, in case of Donald Trump, we'll call her Pocahontas, we'll do tomahawk chops. And one of the Republicans, and it's in the video, does the Native American, I don't want to repeat it, but you get it, the war call, et cetera. And so they were like, yes, our base will love being racist against Native Americans. This is gonna work great. And it lacks all substance. It's perfect for Republicans.
It's incredible the examples of double standards we have in politics at this very moment. First of all, I don't care about her heritage. I don't care if she's 100% white. I don't care if she's 100% Native American. I don't care if she's, I don't know. I just don't care. I wanna know what she stands for, what she's gonna do for the American people, what's her voting record. Those are things that people just don't care about anymore in politics, and it drives me crazy. Secondly, if you're first, she's already proven something, right? But let's say it was a lie, and it turns out that she has absolutely no Native American ancestry. So what, right? And by the way, who knows? Like, we're told all sorts of things from our parents, right? But we don't know what's true.
That's why I brought up the Kurdish thing, otherwise it's irrelevant. I don't know if that's true, but some people in our family believe it's true. The people who believe that were from 2 generations ago. They obviously didn't take a DNA test. But it doesn't mean they were liars. That's what they believed, and they passed it on to my parents, who passed it on to me. So it's not a lie. It's just something that your mom told you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, my mom told me all sorts of wonderful things about myself growing up. Most of them aren't true. So it's fine, right? But anyway, moving on with Trump, I mean, if you're going to go after her for allegedly lying about something like that, well, what about your president? Right? What about this person who lies on an hourly basis about all sorts of things? In fact, let me give you an example of a recent lie in regard to this very story. So you guys saw the video yourselves. Trump said that he would give her $1 million to the charity of her choice. And so she tweeted and mentioned the charity that she would like him to give the $1 million to. In fact, she wants the money to go to the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center, which helps support Native American victims of sexual violence, okay? And what was Trump's response to all of that? Well, reporters asked him, hey, she took the DNA test, you're supposed to pay $1 million to the charity of her choice, what are you gonna do now? And he said, quote, who cares? I didn't say that, you better read it again. No, but you did say that.
It's on tape.
You did say that.
It's not only on tape, it's in the video she released showing you were wrong. So we all just saw it on this particular issue. We just showed it to you a little earlier in this clip, where he says, oh, I'll lightly toss it to her. And if she's, if she takes it and it turns out she's an Indian, I will give $1 million to her. I know it's so unbelievable, we have to keep repeating it. Today he said, I didn't say it.
Unbelievable.
I mean, there's no words left for how pathological he is in terms of the lies. It's nonstop. And Anna, you're right, I had not thought about it in that context of the irony and the hypocrisy as it relates to this story. They accuse her of lying about her Native American heritage, which is not true, while the other guy lies about everything. Everything. He finally built his wall. It's a wall of lies. And they're like, oh, that's fine, that's fine. I mean, MAGA guys, you just saw both of those quotes right next to each other. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? He's a liar. He's a super obvious liar. You got nothing. You're like, oh yeah, but on the other hand, Pocahontas, yeah, we make fun of Indians. Okay, that's what the Republican Party's reduced to, a bunch of clowns.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.